Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever in the world you're joining from. And welcome to this 97th edition of Clarity Chat. Today's Clarity Chat is with Amit Madhan, CIO of Thomas Cook, who is here with us today. Welcome, Amit, to this session. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah. So, let me give a quick introduction of Amit. He's an economics graduate from Ramjas College, Delhi, and an MBA alumnus of Sydenham, Mumbai University. He holds over 20 years of experience in GE Countrywide, ICICI Lombard, and Fairfax, and then Thomas Cook. The interesting thing about when I was talking to Amit is that he underwent some major role pivots, from retail sales to SMB sales to, e-commerce, and then becoming a CIO. He disrupted the going on operating model in insurance, and then he moved to travel, which was already being digitally disrupted. So he has experience on both sides, being a disruptor and then disrupted. So maybe they call it law of karma, Amit. You disrupted
Yeah.
somewhere and then you got disrupted somewhere else. Anyway, so he's been driving cultural shifts, digital transformation, and overcoming change management and technical debt challenges. So, in our chat with Amit, we will delve into his role as a digital disruptor in insurance, and then coming on the other side and tackling the disruption challenges in travel industry, and in the process driving cultural shifts, leveraging digital and navigating change management and technical debt. So his favorite intrigue is the correlations between technology and spirituality. We'll come to that later. For now, Amit, before we start talking of serious things, let's get some energy going up. Please share how you got into IT. I believe it was something like Jo Bolega Wo Kundi Kholega. Please share your transition to IT.
Yeah. So thanks, Jagdish, for the nice introduction. And definitely, being a graduate in economics and being from a financial field, more from a sales and marketing guy, and then getting into IT, a lot of people ask me this. But I think the watershed moment, I would say, would be 2007, when my boss told me to handle ICCLombard.com and the online platform. And that time, I was a bit skeptical. Okay, how will it happen, etc., etc. But ultimately, a lot I was dependent upon my IT team, and we used to keep pushing about the deliverables, which is nothing new to all of you. A lot of you CIOs would be getting a lot of pushed from the business heads to go live as of yesterday. So I think that's what the role I was also playing that time, and everything we wanted as of yesterday, and keep pushing. So I started getting into IT to understand, okay, what how does the APIs work, what is XML, what's the web, what is CSS, and that's how I started getting. Then I started attending a lot of seminar conferences to understand it more. And thankfully, my boss, the entire IT department also used to roll into Anuj that time, and then he said that, okay, why don't you interact with them more? And almost like the entire IT team, which was responsible for the e-business, started had a dotted line reporting into me, and that got me into their shoes and understand their challenges better. And once I understood those challenges and wearing those hats and keeping my team also into the confidence as well as taking care of IT, I think that's how I got into IT. And I think it has been a very nice journey, and it's a totally different world, and I'm enjoying it.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, Amit, my journey is something similar. I was smiling when you were narrating this because I myself am a mechanical engineer, been in field HQ, but then all along I was one of the biggest critiques of IT. I actually used to tell my bosses that at in those times, a laptop used to be touted as something elite, right? And you remember you used to get those dongles, to connect USB dongles,
Yeah,
which will get you the internet access. Again, that was supposed to be something elite. Big bosses would get that. And I was like, come on, guys. I mean, are we crazy? You give it to everyone, okay? Let them work. Why are you like working, 24/7? Let them work 24/7. Anyway, so I call it the law of karma. So whoever or the Jo Bolega Wo Kundi Kholega, in a room. Okay, let me answer to anyone who doesn't understand Hindi. In a room, if like five people are sitting and somebody rings a bell, uh, everyone keeps quiet, and the guy who is the first one to respond that hey, somebody at the door, is the one who has to go and open the door. Which basically means in corporate context is that whoever is bothered by something by something not working efficiently, he ends up actually owning it. It happened with you. In my case, it
yeah.
was a little indirect. I was the biggest complainer about IT. I took some IT decisions on my own, which basically then got me some rap on my knuckles. But then eventually, I ended up ended up managing the whole thing, and of course, helping reduce those complaints. Yeah, so I can already see some comments coming in. So let me go back to the audience, Amit here. So we have CXOs, founders, IT managers, and seasoned technology leaders in our audience. All of us know that technology is necessary but not sufficient to drive business performance. The guests like Amit on Clarity Chat have built the bridge between the necessary and sufficient uh, by learning the art of managing technologies. And Clarity Chat then builds that bridge between their learnings and all of you who are trying to make a powerful impact with technology. So, thank you all for joining us for the last 96 episodes and encouraging us with your interactions, questions, appreciation. So, yeah, now let's see who all are here already. But then, before I call them out, uh, uh, I request all the audience to share your name and where you're joining from. I mean, sitting in this studio, I and Amit cannot see who all are there. So the only way for us to know that you're there is when you tell your name and where you're joining from. So let us see who all are here. We have one early audience, Gupta, Mr. Boda. So thank you, Gupta ji, for joining us. So nice of you. And we have Varsha Kukreti here. Hi, Varsha. And we have Bhupendra from OT Group Oman. Hey, thanks, Bhupendra, for joining. I know this is, your Sunday. You start working from tomorrow onwards. So thanks for joining us. And yes, we have Amrinder from Nammam, Bengaluru. Hi, Amrinder. Thanks for joining us. And we have Prasad Pudipedi from Hafel, Mumbai. Hi, Prasad. Good to see you again,
I
man.
have
Here. Awesome, awesome. And Varsha is squadron leader Varsha Kukreti, CEO of Amos. Hey, great to know that we have the forces people here, Varshaji. Thanks for joining. Oh wow, they are keeping on coming. Yes. So Amit seems to be a popular guy.
I should,
So Amit, if any one of these are your colleagues or you know them, just say hi to them and let us know. You know how you know them.
yes, yes. I can see Shobna, Prasad, and all from our CIO club, Mumbai chapter. I think all of them are here
Yes, yes, yes.
to listen to our journey. And thanks a lot, guys, for joining.
Yeah, and we have VS Ganesh from Page. We have a LinkedIn user from Prague. I can only suspect who this is. This must be our Subbu, our own Subbu, who is based in Prague now.
Okay.
Mm, and we have Nagendra from Mysore, if I'm correct, Nagendra. And we have Udit here. Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Let's get back to our discussion. Sure enough, our introduction of Amit really got many people curious about, about your story, Amit. So let's start with that. Amit, please give us an overview of your career, the company's roles, and maybe one highlight from each of those roles.
Yeah, actually, many shift in roles, but many very few shift in companies, I would say. So I'm more of a loyal guy. I started my career in 2000 with joining G Countrywide, and that's how into finance field, taking care of auto loans, car loans, personal loans, etc. And in 2002, then I shifted to ICICI Lombard because that was the ground from where they were looking for guys to come into insurance field, largely who were managing automobile dealers, etc. So because that was a natural fit, and that's how I joined ICICI Lombard, largely to take care of retail. And then Lombard, I spent more than 10 years. I was one of the founding member, and that's how I got the opportunity to be in various verticals of whenever any vertical started, and I was almost there. So I did various roles in Lombard, and we'll talk about it in our conversation, Jagdish. And then Lombard, as you know, is a part of Fairfax Group, Canada, and Fairfax acquired Thomas Cook in India, and that's how it was like a secondment from ICICI Lombard. I came to Thomas Cook, and I'm in Thomas Cook since 11 years. So I keep looking for new adventures and new assignments, new roles, but largely to be in the same family and same company so that I can contribute with whatever I've learned there and give it back in that organization.
Oh, awesome, awesome. I think that's one advantage of being in a large group, that you can keep looking for new roles without really having to change your employer. And I had the same privilege in Tata Motors, where I started. I think I must have done at least about 6, 7 roles there in 23 years. And I was same thing. I was getting restless every 3, 4 years, and I would find myself something or the other, or something will come up, and I would take a risk,
Yeah.
and that's how I landed up in different roles. Yeah. So, Amit, let's dive a little deep into your, career pivots, and each one of them was, I think, a significant, I would say, disruption from your current role. So, if you can tell us, like, how did that happen, and weren't you worried? Weren't you like anxious? So who helped you? And then more importantly, like, so this is something that has worked for you. How are you helping others do it?
Yeah. Thanks, Jagdish. So I think when I started, and as I told you, from G Countrywide, I joined ICICI Lombard, and Lombard, I joined more as a retail guy, and retail is like daily numbers and all that. And then as soon as I joined, the whole retail vertical was shut down. It was the whole ICICI Lombard strategy shifted that we will do only corporate sales and retail we won't do because retail needs a lot of cash burn. And that time Mr. Bakshi, he was the CEO. He became the CEO, and he said that we'll make money, then we'll invest, and then we'll grow retail. So I think that was the philosophy. And then there was no retail, and then the people who had joined in retail, and we were wondering what will we do. So I was moved to corporate sales, and I remember that conversation with my boss that what will I do, and credit to Mr. Bakshi, he met each one and guided each one. Okay, this would be the new role that you will be taking. And in that conversation, I said that I had never done corporate sales, and I can't do corporate sales because it's a totally different ball game. I'm a retail guy. Every morning, I have to get into a chai tapri and ask how many files it has been, how 150 logged in, what is the ticket size, and those are the matrices are totally different when you are handling a retail and when you are handling a corporate. So I think the words from him were very comforting. That he said that, I mean, there is nothing like retail or corporate or anything. Resources are fungible as long as you are a good resource, and for that matter, and that's what touched me, and I totally believe in that. It's only about resources are fungible. So I think that one line, and whether you can be in sales, you can be tomorrow in underwriting, tomorrow you can be in claims or taking care of credit in a bank. It doesn't matter as long as you have a common sense, and you do your job. So I think, but at the same time, I understand your concern, and for me, give it a 6 months try. And if you don't find it interesting and if you feel somewhere bad, we'll talk about it and we'll change your role. So I think that was a big safety net he provided, and that helped me to take that plunge. I said, okay, let me try the corporate sales. And then once I went into corporate sales, I think it was very interesting journey. And then from corporate to retail sales to SME sales, setting up branch structure. So I think that interesting. And then in 2007, when I landed into ICSLombard.com, the entire online channel. So every role had its own challenge, but I think each challenge was very interesting. And when I look back, I think it was very fulfilling. Then I would say from Lombard to Thomas Cook, again, very interesting role. From when you moved to Thomas Cook, again, it was a totally different. A lot of my friends and colleagues asked me that from insurance, you have proven yourself in insurance and you have made such a nice career here. Why are you moving to a travel, totally unknown field? You'll have to start from scratch. But I think that's what excites me, to start from the scratch, and there is no problem. So again, I went into Thomas Cook and a totally travel domain, which was very new to me. But I think I learned a lot in this field also. There are some the entire conversation and the entire landscape. I think when it changes, the conversations when you are dealing with products in an insurance company, you are talking about mortality ratio, you are talking about fraud, you are talking about risk. And when you are talking about products in the travel industry and holidays, it's all about, okay, which museum should we make it as a part of itinerary and which route to take. I think there were so many positives, and I loved it. So I just continued, and I think and the journey continued. And within Thomas Cook also, in my last 11 years, I handled many roles. So initially, because of my insurance background, I was taking care of insurance vertical also. Then when we started, so IT and online business, anyways, I was taking care of. Then we started a shared service vertical. So I was part of vertical. I handled that also, managed that also for a time being. Then recently, now I have been given the ESG portfolio. So that is the latest addition. So as environment, sustainability, and governance are becoming big things, so how to handle the ESG, and since 1 year I'm learning about ESG, and definitely we have we have started doing some things also like ESG vertical. Within ESG, there is a green carpet kind of a platform that we have built with LTI Mindtree. I think that is also very interesting. So as we talk more, and I will tell you more about that, Jagdish, but it's again a very interesting field, I would say, as far as the ESG is concerned. So that is something new to
No,
my portfolio.
no, absolutely, absolutely. And, I mean, just I can see a big takeaway for our audience here. that there are no rewards without risks. So every
Yeah.
time you change something in your life, there are new things coming up, and we typically our ancient brain looks at everything as a risk, but then I think in today's world there are more learnings than risks. But then
See,
when you are on the other side, yeah, go ahead.
with all these startups coming up, no, Jagdish, I think that culture and the mindset also of people have changed, and how people look at you. When you see so many
Absolutely.
the fast fail attitude, learning attitude. So I think I was in startup mode much earlier. So I got into that mode, and that's why I was able to take that risk. When I look back while talking to you, I'm just thinking about it.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. I mean, you know, same thing with me is that when I came to technology, I didn't know T of technology. I just learned everything. When I was appointed the CIO, I had done a CRM program. Basically, it was a lot more change management and program management than so much of technology, because we had technology guys out there. Then when I was asked to take over as a CIO, I didn't know infrastructure, I didn't know SAP, I didn't know a lot of stuff. But then I think it was a lot of fun learning it. So one way to look at, with one lens to look at, is that hey, it's a risk, it's discomfort. But then the other way to look at it is a more positive way, is to that there's learning, there's going to be new challenges, and there are going to be new achievements. And I think we got to look at it that way. But coming back to, I think your case, and that was an early, I would say, benefit for you, that your leaders, you got leaders who created that safety net for you. In fact, that is something that we use in our startup. That term we use in our startup, Flock and Go. We say that everyone got a safety net. You can speak your mind. You can be who you are. You can do what you want, and you know what, you won't be. You won't be penalized for that. And I think in
Yeah, I
your
think
case,
that's very important. Even in Thomas Cook, I just want to tell you, then when I joined, and then we had a working website, but not much of a transaction driven. And I said that more than the information, we have to get into an e-commerce sort of a website. So I think Madhan, who my boss, he gave me a free hand. Okay, you directly. So we created an incubation center, and we went to all the campuses like COEP, and we took freshers, almost 25 people fresher. It's almost like a startup created, and then we launched that channel, and then created that platform. And that is a platform which is like our current omni-channel platform, and especially during the pandemic, that platform, rather than the e-business platform, became the platform for the company, and all the products of the company and all the channel partners as well as the employees all were hooked onto that platform to manage
wow.
work from home, handle the entire business. So that became, I think that was very fulfilling, that what we created as an incubation center became the mainstream.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I've got something related to that, so maybe I'll park it for later. I
Yeah.
realize, Amit, that like we have so many common experiences. If we talk, we'll just keep talking. Therefore, it's nice to have some very pinpointed themes and questions. So, yeah, again, what Amit also shared is that the job of a leader is to cover the risks. So is when you want to get the best out of your people, you got to throw them into fresh waters. But then you got to cover the challenges for them, cover the risks for team members. I call it that I'm a minesweeper for my teams. So you guys go into uncharted waters, and I'll be de-risking you. So there are many people who will get discomforted. I'll cover them for you, and I think that's something that we can. That's something how we can pay forward to our team members. That what we
Yeah.
got in terms of diverse roles, and people covering our backs. I want to share one incident before I go forward, Amit. Um, when I was under training, actually, I was being trained as a service engineer for excavators. and I knew all kinds of those, like, circuit diagrams of Hitachi hydraulic machines, the various motor components and all of that. But then I didn't really know how to change the engine oil of an excavator, or how to change the hydraulic oil. And I was sent into the field as a trainee. Now the thing was that, we had to go alongside a service engineer, um, you know, and spend, let's say, 15 days gaining some practical knowledge. And when I landed up in Hyderabad office, my boss, I waited the whole day. Then my boss came in, and he said, Jagdish, tum kal subah Ramagundam chale ja. Okay. And Ramagundam is a coal mine field, and there were like some 20 machines running there. I said, Dada, kiske saath? With whom? And he's like, अकेले. वो तो यहाँ तो सारा सर्विस इंजीनियर का माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस का ट्रेनिंग चल रहा है. And I'm like, I have come all the way from Jamshedpur to get trained on, real, mechanical engineering, and these guys are learning Microsoft Office, and you're sending me alone to the field. So he understood it, and he is like, "किरे साला डर लग रहा है? तू जा, तू मशीन को तोड़ के आ जा, तू मशीन को जला के आ जा. मैं हूं ना यहाँ पे." ओके. सर, तू जो करना है कर, मुझे मालूम है, मैंने सुना है तेरे बारे में, कुछ नहीं होगा, कुछ होगा तो मैं देख लेगा. ओके. यहाँ इन लोगों को माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस का ट्रेनिंग करने थे. And that gave me so much confidence, then gave me so much assurance. And then, I was there for next 15 days as a trainee, but working as a full service engineer, learning things like, online real time, ये करने से क्या होता है, ये करने से क्या होता है, learn to operate a machine as well. But then I think that's how great leaders are. They will, like, just throw you into the water, and they'll cover you.
I will add to that, Jagdish. Exactly what you said. I think that was a bit of a similar experience, but I think it would be helpful for everybody to learn from these incidents. So when I was given e-channel, iclombard.com to handle, and I used to sit in office and looking at the various websites, what are the best in the industries, and following some US and UK websites. Okay, this is the kind of user experience we have to create and all that. And then I was having a review with Sandeep sir, and he asked me, "Okay, what are you doing, sir?" Sir, I'm doing this. But I see you mostly in office. Yeah, because this is online business. I have to be in office. I won't be going. Where do I go in the ground? So in the agency vertical, I was mostly on the ground, on the field. But here I have to be in the office. No, your ground is here. The call center is your ground here, and you should be spending time there. You won't learn what you will learn the business from the call center and the voice of the customer. You can never learn looking at any websites. I think that was, and I was wondering that time, what will I do at a call center? Call center is supposed to be, call center guys would be there, but what will I do? I never realized the importance of a call center that time. Until now, I think that whenever if I have to guide my team, I keep telling them, okay, if you have to learn something, spend time and learn from the call center and learn from the voice of the customer, and just stand behind the call center agents and how they are navigating the site gives you so much of UI UX that no customer study can give you. I think that was, again, as you said, push him onto the ground. I think this was my experience.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So, Amit, digital transformation is talk of the town today. Let's move on to serious stuff, technology, e-cre and all that. Okay, so digital transformation is talk of the town today. You did it long back at ICICI Lombard. You were talking about, like, setting up the e-commerce business and all that. But then when I was talking to you, I realized that, there's so much more than technology that you need to do. And then, like, for all the people who are here, there may be some learnings on how holistic it can be, because you've done it hands-on. So tell us a little bit about, like, all the technical and not so technical aspects of your ICSA Lombard transformation into basically like becoming a full-fledged e-commerce company. Not so much technical, but I'm sure people are more interested in the non-technical stuff.
Yeah, but I think it is not about any industry. It is common again. And I have seen almost the same thing, though the travel and insurance are totally different chalk and cheese industry. But I think the struggles are same. And when I talk to our fellow business heads or CIOs also in different verticals, any vertical that you take, and most of the companies are going digital and D2C. So I think they also are going through the same process. So I think it starts with the mindset first, having a digital mindset. How can things happen without people? So I think everywhere, whenever we come across a problem, when we are into an offline world, we know just throw people and get it sorted. Acha, usko phone kar do, usko bol do and get sorted. So here you can't do that. So it's not about talking to anybody, but you have to solve it as a process or as a tool or as something intuitive that the customer will be able to do that. So I think the cultural mindset is the biggest shift, and that's how you have to recruit people also with the same kind of alignment. If you put the guy who is more of a stubborn and not flexible, I think that the attitude of the people whom you are taking in your team is the most critical thing when you are creating this incubation center or any digital business, because you will need to challenge so many status quos that it is not funny. Because every right from the start, and whether it is I say Lombard or Thomas Cook, I can give you various experiences, whether it is channel conflict to how you get your bills processed, how you communicate to the customer, how the vouchers will be given to the customer, how will you take a signature from the customer. Like when we started insurance online, it was like ink signature by the customer was compulsory. You have to take the physical proposal form. And here I am talking about online. How will this happen? Giving a policy which is with the stamp and all that was compulsory, and we were talking about e-policy. So rather than just first we have to buy in, okay, this is what we'll do, you have the management buy in, and then you have to do the industry buy in. And we actually did a lot of work on the industry side, whether going to IRDA, whether it presenting at the GIC Council, popularizing the e-policy concept, popularizing the master database of the industry wide. So you have to think about industry. If you limit yourself only to your company and being selfish, I think you have lost the game already. So I think one is industry mindset, digital mindset, right kind of people. These are much more important than the technology. I think technology has become an easier part now. It used to be harder, but now it has become an easier part. So digital technology, there are tools available which can help. And thanks to all our CIO folks who have made it simpler and made it sound simpler also. So that, okay, you need this, it can be done. And there are many people who can help you in doing that. But changing the mindset, you will have to do it yourself. Changing the internal battles and fighting the internal battles, you will have to do it yourself. So I think having a management buy-in and having the kind of a trust with your peers when you are especially handling a digital business, that no, it is not to threaten your business vertical, it is to complement your business vertical. And how can that happen so that both are going hand in hand, and it is more becoming an omni-channel rather than a channel conflict. I think that game is very important.
No,
Yeah, Jagdish.
absolutely, absolutely. My partner is trying to call me multiple times. There's some production issue going on in Flock and Go. We'll handle it. But yeah, I think very importantly, I think what I broadly will call it as evangelism, right? So you got to evangelize it, which means that you got to take your stakeholders along. You have to tell everyone that hey, this is for the benefit of everyone. And then you also have to socialize it with your industry colleagues, and then somewhere you will come across any regulatory hurdles as well, which again you cannot handle alone. You got to take your industry colleagues along. So again, I keep getting accused of talking about CRM a lot, but that was something similar, because the dealers were like all very very insecure that once the company gets all the data, then what happens to us. And then I had like these sessions with dealer CEOs, where I used to tell them, I said, okay, you tell me now, today, do you know what is happening at each of your branches? 15 branches. Do you know how much cash was collected yesterday at each of the branches? Do you know how many vehicles were booked? Do you know how many job cards were done? And they were blank. And I said, listen, do you think Tata Motors getting all this data is a problem? I mean, you don't have that data today. You think you have the data, right? And what happens when you want to get that data? You actually, somebody in your office, calls up 15 people and gets that data, brushes it up. Do you think that, there is a complete honesty in the translation as well? And I said, I'm promising you a dashboard. You will real time, you will know what's happening in your branch. Do you want that or not? And then they realize that, oh my God, yeah, this is beneficial to me. अगर मुझे इतना सब मिलता है तो I don't mind giving a little bit to to the company also, right? Yeah. But meanwhile, I think I do see some questions coming in. So, guys, please ask your questions to Amit. Any questions which can be of a quick fire nature, I can take them later in rapid fire. But anything industry, technology, I'm happy to ask them here. Meanwhile, there's a question from Amrinder Amit. He says, both insurance, fintech, and travel has undergone disruption from startups. What are your personal takeaways?
Yeah, so you are right. Both have gone through, and even which industry not. But I think insurance, especially, and travel, a lot of startups are trying to create a lot of value, and I think it is good. And rather than fighting with the startups, we believe in collaborating with the startups. And there are so many things that we can do it together. There are so many, but the good part, Amrinder, is that there is space for everyone. I think the industry is growing and all the industries are growing. So travel kind of thing, because it is so fragmented that there is no like a full market leadership and that kind of a single owner kind of a positioning that anybody can take. And there is space for, and when I got into travel, I realized there are so many different types of travel and there are so many different types of travelers. I think each startup, even if there are 100 startups catering to each personas, there is business for all, and nobody can do everything together. So I think you have to collaborate with the startup, whichever industry you are in, and complementing with them and understanding. And maybe there are so many times you learn from them that there's something wrong that we are doing, and maybe we have to course correct and seeing them. So I think startups are more than welcome for any industry, and they should not be taken as a threat but as a compliment.
No, absolutely, absolutely, Amit. Well said. My 2 cents on that. I think most of the startups, they start with, like, changing some part of your experience. So end of the day, if you really look at it, if you look at it from the point of view of customer, there are so many people trying to solve his problems, breaking them into micro levels, trying to solve it and then create value for themselves. I think it's a win-win scenario, and everyone should collaborate on that. So let me go on to my next question, which is the more interesting one, and I think useful for all our audience also, Amit. So see, you went into travel industry, which was already undergoing disruption, with all these yatras and make my trips and agodas and all coming in, and they are gaining more and more power, both in terms of the customer information as well as in terms of funding, right? Which has been, so I think what we do see today is that for all these startups and the disruptors that are there, they are actually cash rich. There are lots of people funding them, whereas people who are in the brick and mortar business, who have been running a solid, you can say, more customer touching business model, they certainly feel themselves disadvantaged, and I think that's the position that you were in. So how did you turn around? Uh, I have lots of questions on this, but then let me start with this one. That what were the advantages and disadvantages you had, right, with respect to these guys, and how did you leverage the advantages and mitigate the disadvantage? Because I'm sure everyone out there who's listening to this, is having the same concern that like somebody is out there to disrupt me. So how do I play it?
So thanks. Nice question, Jagdish. So I would say that I think the most important part is to play on your own strength rather than just following them what they are doing. If you try to copy and catch up on what they are doing, then you are playing on their strength and you can never win that. So I think it is very important that what is your strength, you have to really write it down. What So let's say for us, the product is our strength and the experience on the ground is our strength. It might not be the best of the booking process, but if a person comes on holidays with us, the Thomas Cook, we know that on tour, the kind of tour managers we have, the kind of selection that we do, and the kind of itineraries we follow, especially with that, we can take care of the customer segment that we are catering. Whether if somebody has to send their parents, and a lot of people send the parents with us, we know that our tour manager will be able to handle, and in case of any eventuality, we know that they will be safe and taken care of. I think that comfort, that is the biggest strength, and we have to play on that. So definitely, and how to position that in your digital strategy, that based on these strengths, obviously you will have to work a lot on the booking process, the platform UI UX, but those are hygiene that has to be taken care, and that will be done. You might not have the best in the class technology that somebody else would be having, but it is a working technology and it works, and the booking happens. But the strength that I have, how to put that up front and can help you in better customer acquisition, how to popularize those experiences, let's say on social media. So rather than just a sales and the product centric, how then customer testimonials becomes your strength. I think once you cull out that, okay, once that I have to capitalize on this, then the process is easy. But a lot of companies, a lot of people, they don't actually capitalize on that, and they don't even uh, put it down that what their strengths are, and directly get into the catch up game, and then a lot of companies lose out. So don't be into the catch up game and don't play on their strength, play on your strength. But to play on your strength, you have to identify what your strengths are.
Not your stanza, yeah. And that's where most people have a problem. That's my favorite jumla, that we are all Hanumans. Hanuman had a curse that he would not remember his capabilities, right? So he got that curse once he swallowed the sun, and then he was given this curse that, oh my God, you know what? Uh, if you remember whatever you can do, then you can create havoc. So you will not, and you will not remember your capabilities. So most organizations, like for example, what you just now said about Thomas Cook, right? The experiences on the ground. I'm like suddenly thinking that I don't think any of these companies can, any of these online companies can really bring in that level of experience, the cadre that you have, the way you guys train your group. I've been on Thomas Cook tools and I can vouch for it. The way and the kind of customer service. I don't think any one of them can really match it. Or that's like a big uphill task for them. Whereas, let's say to create that digital customer experience, this nice thing, you do one thing and the other thing comes up automatically, and things get remembered on the portal. Your identity. I think those are. Then you realize that, oh my God, those are the easier things to do, right? And then what you also mentioned, that a lot of times we don't ourselves talk about our strength, like all those customer testimonials that you collect after every tour. I think we are just stowing it away somewhere rather than putting them on social media along with photos and all that. But that's a very, very important, I would say, takeaway for all the brick and mortar guys out there, that what you've built with a lot of capex and a lot of manpower is not waste. Actually, that is something that can create a great customer experience if it is backed up by, when you streamline your processes, digitize them, get the best out of technology, and then marry it with your strengths. And I think then it's difficult to disrupt you. So thanks for that, Amit. A very big takeaway. The starting point of digital transformation is look at your strengths and augment them with technology rather than trying to copy somebody else's business model, right? So Amit, I mean, let me tell you my experience with Thomas Cook, and then that will segue into a different question. I remember I booked this trip online. I researched multiple sites, and then I decided to book a trip on your website. And then this was an international one, so I had to actually visit your office in Bangalore, um, along with my family and my passports and all of that. Uh, uh, that was a physical process I couldn't avoid, right? But then when I went for that, I found that I found as if like I've been branded like online customer, and then there is some sort of a casties there, and very quickly I figured out. I told my wife, I said, you know what? I can tell you for sure that because we booked it online, okay, these it is not going to reflect in these guys targets or whatever numbers, and therefore we are not feeling as welcome as we would have felt if we hadn't booked online. And then I think I broached it with you and you said, yeah, that's called, in technical terms, that's called channel conflict. But it's a very interesting one that when you start on the digital journey, a lot of these unexpected people issues, process issues, policy issues come in. So tell us about the change management challenge, and change management and cultural challenges that you identified, sorted out in your journey.
So I think Jagdish, you're right, and there are these people challenges more than the technology challenge, as I said earlier also. So I think channel conflict, definitely when you're starting a digital channel, the other channel starts feeling a bit threatened. So how do you incentivize the guy at the branch is also very important, because ultimately
Yes.
he is the customer touch point, he is the face of the customer. And then there are many learnings which we started doing it, especially for the forex, I would say. So completely online omni-channel model that we built now, that so we were thinking of, okay, you can, and we were the, by the way, pioneer in selling forex online in Thomas Cook. So we launched online forex sales, and people were wondering, how will you sell forex online? And there were skepticism in our company itself. And then we said, okay, let's try it out. And then it happened. And tell you that currently almost 25% of the business of retail forex, it happens online, and totally with an omni-channel experience. And slowly we actually started enriching the experience. Okay, when you're going to a branch and you are buying a currency or a card, and then you have to come home, in digital world the branch will come to your home. So how can that happen? So Ghar Pe Forex is the kind of a platform that we launched. You in during COVID times, when the branches, people were scared of coming to the branches, we launched the entire video KYC model. Everything can be happened. So completely touchless environment, and that could not have happened if we had not done the omni-channel strategy. And that was, I think that is paying off very well. So the branch also gets the incentive, and the call center, the website. So I think all the people who are stakeholders are, how can each of them work towards the common goal of giving the customer right experience. I think that is a big cultural shift that you have to drive, and it is more about nudging rather than just dictatorial. You can give the dictatorial, okay, that online customer will come to the branch and you have to serve them. But exactly what you said, are you feeling welcomed or not? Process is being followed, but that emotion connect, and that emotional, the welcoming, I think that is very important. It's not about just the process, it's about putting them it into the heart, into their feelings, and into their motivation to do that. I think that is very important, and that comes with, you can't change everybody's behavior, but you start changing the matrices, and then the behavior starts reflecting on that. So we are still going through the journey. I won't say that we have reached 100%. It's a long journey, and it's going on. That,
Hmm. No, that's fascinating, Amit. I learned a new term talking to you, channel conflict. I was like, oh my God, that's what it was. Anyway, but I think very interesting. How you develop new products. Using digital itself, you can develop new products, involve the branches, And I think the most important takeaway that I can see in this discussion, what you mentioned, probably like, the single biggest tool that you have in driving any transformation is to change your KPIs to reflect the future behaviors, right?
Yeah.
So if you change your KPIs, those incentive mechanisms at a ground level, and let them reflect, what you want, how you want the future to be. Um, by the way, this reminds me, technology companies do it very well. So when, let's say, all these companies who have been selling licenses, when they want to go onto the cloud, their incentives to salespeople for cloud product sales are like 4 times the incentives for the license sales, and that's how they are like, they're pushing their account managers to learn everything. It's not just about pushing; it's also about learning. Finding case studies. Talking about being the real evangelists of cloud. It's all driven by that 4x.
In
Uh,
fact, that was how I remember different channels having a different weightages in IC Salawat also, and that was again Mr. Bakshi used to drive that valuation and how the valuation of a company works and how the matrices and how the direct channel and how the agency channel and dealer channel can have a different weightage altogether. So I think it is the 100 rupees is not same for each of the channel. That 100
yeah,
can become
yeah,
400 here and maybe 200 somewhere else and maybe 50 at somewhere else. So I think
absolutely.
those are the things that I learned, and definitely I apply it here also.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think in this case, just to round up, like the stock market actually considers your 100 rupees of license revenue as 100, but it considers 100 rupees of SaaS revenue as 400.
Perfect.
Yeah,
And this
and
I'm
look,
talking about 20 years back. No?
yeah, no, absolutely. I think, and Sandeep is a visionary leader, and I've heard a lot about him. Maybe one day I'll get to meet him as well. And you told
Yes.
me about like his leadership style. Yeah. So I have some comments. Now we are like 10 minutes away from 6 o'clock. So let me bring in some more audience. We have Shobha Patil. We have Dattatray from Oman. So Oman we seems to be popular in Oman, and then we have Neeraj from Vedanta, Chief of Quality. It's nice to see somebody who's non-technology here. Thanks, Neeraj, for joining. We have some appreciation coming in from Bhupen. Very interesting and inspiring journey, Amit.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thanks, Bhupen.
and echoed by Prasad. What an amazing journey from a salesman to a CIO.
Thanks,
Yeah, that
Prasad.
that that really romanticizes it from a salesman to a CIO. And then he also has a question for you, which is how did you guys manage disruption as in business impact by COVID? Because travel industry got massively disrupted, right? I mean, no flights, nobody's traveling. How did you survive in those times?
I think more than surviving, we reinvented ourselves. I think the way we used that COVID time, nobody would have used it. That I can tell you
That's
and vouch
interesting.
for. The entire company, because there was not much of a travel. Definitely there was some sporadic. We had to send people who were stranded here and we had to get them to Canada, and all those things were going on behind the scene. There were some destinations open like Maldives and Dubai, and people were traveling, and there were cases where people were got stuck in Russia, and they're out of the entire group, two people have got COVID, and then you have to manage. So apart from all the business that was happening, but that may be consuming, let's say, 15% of the workforce. But what do the balance people and how to engage them? I think we refreshed all our applications during COVID time, all our applications. So जो एक ad थी ना पूरे घर के बदल डालूंगा, that kind. In fact, add some more if need be. Maybe there was a lighting required here. We'll put another light here. So it's like a vendor system and all that. So we actually digitally transformed the company during COVID times, and the entire company was busy in first in scoping. Then obviously there was a full agile development because we never knew, do we have 6 months in hand, 1 year, 2 years, we don't know. So we were doing the entire agile development. So the things were happening in parallel, but the new applications were going on. By the time COVID started ending and the flights were started resuming, and we launched applications for the POCs, and slowly the new applications. So as of now, when I speak, all our applications are fresh. The entire technology got refreshed during the COVID time, and because the entire business team had time, they were helpful and they had time to do the entire scoping and the testing. So there were people identified, okay, these are the guys who will be continuously, they tested all the applications for like more than 12 months. They were just in the testing phase. So the entire testing, rolling out, and all that was happening all through the digital. Though we were meeting in office also, but mostly most of the people were working remotely. But I think during COVID, what we did and what we achieved, and in fact, our board also complimented big time on this. That what you guys have done, and our board members sit on various boards, and they said that we haven't seen this kind of transformation and this kind of the output from anywhere. So I think
Awesome.
big kudos to my entire team and the entire business, how they collaborated. I don't think that we would have gone, though we had to maintain social distancing, but I think we got much closer than we were in office. We say.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. No, it's like, we always say that, when you're trying to do these technology transformations, process transformations and all, it's like, changing the engine of a flying aircraft, right?
Yeah.
Because the operation doesn't stop. And then, now the aircraft got grounded. So you really took that opportunity and like, chalo, upar se, aage se ye sab repair kar dete.
Yeah.
But that's really like, I can say that's like, that's a lot of positive thinking. I must say that, like you're using a crisis as an opportunity, and I think that really is like, I can say one lever in your transformation, right? So
Yeah, and thanks to
this,
our leadership team and especially the backing of Fairfax. So we were never in that mode. Ki, okay, what will happen? We had a strong parent, we had a strong backing, and definitely the leadership team and our MD, they were totally backing us on this, and they were participating in this. So otherwise, in a running business, they won't have time also to participate in these weekly
absolutely,
reviews.
absolutely. Yeah,
But this was like going as a clockwork. So every week 11 to 12 we have a review and this is happening and everybody is
yeah.
participating, so there was also
So
fresh.
I think the message and takeaway for all the guys out there, guys, if any one of your industries or companies is going through a downturn, don't be insecure about it. I mean, think that now people have time. Okay, now let's start some initiatives and get your CEO on your side. Get him to, you know, जेब ढीली कराओ थोड़ी उनकी, and then you will have the support and the time of all the business people at that time. So and there's one question from Nitin here, Amit. After that, I move to our final session, which is the rapid fire. So, guys, I'm going to be asking some quick fire questions to Amit after this. So, if you have anything in your mind, please shoot it out here. I'll be including those here. So, Nitin asks that Thomas Cook traditionally is a brick and mortar base. How do you foresee TC to transform given that customers prefer digital ways of engaging? I think you have answered many parts of
Yeah.
it, but maybe just from a customer expectation point of view.
So Nitin, thanks for the question. But as TC, we believe in omni-channel strategy, the digital strategy. So it's not about just brick and mortar. There are almost 20% of our business happens online already, and we give that entire flexibility to the customers. Which channel you want to? You want to do everything on web? Please, more than welcome. You want to call us? Have it at the call center, or you want to come at the branch? Totally flexibility is given to the customer, and that's what we believe in, and we believe in following the customer preference rather than changing their preference. So customer preference will keep on changing, but we will be available at whatever doorstep that the customer is coming, so we will be there to serve. And but
So,
we want to build strength with the human touch rather than the bot touch. So human touch is very important, relationship is very important for us rather than just the technology. So technology will remain, that's a hygiene, but I think more important is that touch, because I have to play on my strength.
No, absolutely. And you are in a hospitality industry, and hospitality industry can't not have human touch. But then I think very importantly, it is like, giving choices to the customer. I mean, a lot of players give like digital is the only choice. No, you're giving multiple choices to the customer, whatever way you want to connect and operate. Like you're welcome. Hey, thanks, Amit. So I'm going to be now going to the next section, guys. Anyone? So just to say that, hey, Shriram, there was a long question from you. I'm not sure whether we can cover it here, but let's see if Amit wants to answer this, over LinkedIn, maybe a similarly long answer. So Amit, if you can just check that out, I'll see if I can answer as well. So the first rapid fire here is from Amrinder. He says, and being from Thomas Cook, I think this is an interesting question. Which is your favorite travel location?
Mm. So I recently I went to Greece. I think it was fabulous. It was great. I think the entire Greece, Turkey, this kind of belt, the Mediterranean Sea
Mediterranean.
is that belt. I like personally. I like any of these countries. The food, the hospitality, and the culture. It's the perfect fusion of the West and the East, and I love that. And that's why I like that. That entire geography I like.
Awesome. So, Amit, let me start by what's your favorite sport?
So recently I picked up pickleball. So I'm playing pickleball since almost 1 year, and I try to play it almost daily. So that's my favorite sport as of now.
And where do you find the courts?
So pickleball you can play on a multi-purpose court, and largely badminton court. The size is the same, so you have to just put the nets from up to down, and it becomes a lawn tennis sort of a court with a badminton kind of configuration. And then you play like a lawn tennis, and you
Okay.
can just you Google about pickleball.
Uh,
It's actually a nice combination of lawn tennis with badminton with table tennis. All three, and it's a confluence of all these three games.
no,
And
those
today also I was played almost for an hour, and then we
awesome.
have tea after the game. So clarity.
Okay. To that. Yeah. And we had a quick discussion on, how's one's ability to drive digital transformation linked to his tenure in the organization. I mean, you have some views on that.
Yes, yes. I think the longer you spend in an organization, better it is to drive the digital transformation. And people who understand the organization better are able to drive it much better. A lot of people, companies do that. Okay, get somebody from outside and drive it, and within 3 years you want to finish. I don't think that works very well with a lot of organizations, because people who are traditionally in the organization, they start seeing it as a threat, and they want it to fail, sort of thing. So I think once you start spending more time into that organization, so even if a new recruit has come, they have to get mingled into the organization, spend at least 3 years to understand that organization, and start nudging, and then only the real transformation starts. So it's not about, again, as I keep telling, it's digital transformation doesn't mean technology transformation. Both are totally different things.
Absolutely.
Technology
Absolutely.
transformation, you can have a project led, but for digital transformation, you need a cultural change. And cultural change can be, unless and until you are part of the culture, you can't change the culture. So you have to be in the system to decide what system it has to be and change the system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Beautiful Life. A Beautiful Life. I don't know whether you guys have seen it or not, but I think it is about the gas chamber, and during that time when the Jews were put into the gas chamber, and this father is narrating the entire story to his son, and how this is just a game, and the whole perspective changes, rather than going through that trauma. The son is actually thinking that. So I think it gives me goosebumps when I see that movie, and how what people have gone through, and even then, in that kind of a situation, how can somebody be so positive? So
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like the height of optimism and the height of positivity, right?
yeah. And if somebody can think that way, that's salute to that
Yeah,
his
yeah, absolutely.
spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sitting. sitting outside a gas chamber and being able to have some humor left in you is like a big achievement in itself. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I've personally visited those places and I've seen the kind of glory details. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
yes,
I have. So I visited, I think, one of those war memorials, and oh my God, it is like the roomte khade karne wala feeling. Then once I mean, the moment you go there, you start recalling all the things that you've heard about, that time, and then you realize, oh my God, this was horrible. Anyway, I got the same feeling, by the way, when I was at the cellular jail as well in Andaman Nicobar.
Andaman.
Again,
Yeah.
that was a trip I took through Thomas Cook.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. And maybe my last rapid fire, I know we are a little bit over time, is right in the beginning, we did mention about, Amit's interest in correlating, spirituality with technology. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about it. Let's end at that note.
Yeah, I think it is very intriguing. So uh, I keep looking at these parallel universe, and that's why technology interests me a lot, because I see that actually technology is adapting a lot from spirituality. So, and when you, it's all about the perspective again. And when you see, let's say, the all the devices right now that we are talking right now, or all the devices are ultimately connected to the cloud because we are using one of the services which is resting on the cloud. And when I compare that with entire human, the living beings, I think all these are like me and you are end devices. And ultimately, we are connected through a network, and that mesh of network, and ultimately on the cloud. So there is one God, one spirit, and one electricity, one energy source through which all of us are being driven, and ultimately all connected. So I think there is a lot of parallel. So one is that. Second, you can see. So Oppenheimer, the movie, and he was the great scientist is quoting Bhagavad Gita. So again, the convergence of spiritualism to the science, and there are so many speakers like Osho and all who also start correlating between these two, and then you really start seeing the world in a very different perspective. So that's one thing which I love, and I keep looking at as a witness and as an observer to the world.
Awesome, awesome. So, guys, on that note, thanks, Amit, for giving our audience food for thought. Thinking about, hey, yeah, spirituality and technology, cloud versus cloud, and this, like, this ocean of conscience from where we all kind of come out like bubbles, right? So that's good food for thought, and like we were connecting our shared interest in Osho. So yeah, that's for the weekend. So let me now do a quick couple of minutes summary before I let you go, everyone, and also Amit. Um, so we started with the interesting one on how Amit got into IT. You know, he used to, I can say, suffer a little bit of IT, and used to have his complaints. We got to manage it, and then yeah, benefit of being in a large organization, you can actually keep changing your changing roles. So even though he has done multiple roles, multiple organizations, end of the day, it has been like one big group. Um, so again, then we discussed about like pivoting in your career, how taking risks, coming out of your comfort zones is actually good for your career. But then at the same time, it's also a leader's role to basically provide that safety net for the people to be able to to be able to take those risks, right? Um, then yeah, we talked about the technical and non-technical aspects of ICSA Lombard's transformation. In fact, it became a digital disruptor, set up full e-commerce, where you're talking about where Amit was talking about, like taking the whole industry along, joining hands in shaping the regulation, and then and then taking the stakeholders together. kind of managing their insecurities and all that, right? And then we talked about Thomas Cook and how and the key takeaway there was play to your strengths. So for all the physical, uh, for all the brick and mortar and physical businesses out there, I think this is very inspiring takeaway that you know the customer intimately. So that is your biggest strength. You have the people, you have the physical infrastructure. So use digital to connect those, make those more efficient, make those more productive, more effective, more customer delightful, and play to your strengths. Use digital to augment your strengths rather than copy somebody else's business model, right? And then we spoke about some change management and internal challenges, where Amit also shared about how they used the COVID time, when travel industry had come to a sort of standstill, to really transform their entire, architecture, applications, etc. And then how they got a lot of time from the business guys. And again, the takeaway was that, guys, if anybody is facing a downturn, use it to revamp your technology, because you will get time and people are not going to be really too much complaining about downtimes, or or involvements or UATs and all of that, right? And then um, there was a very good question from Nitin, which was about uh, you know uh, about the preference of customer for a digital channel, which is that for someone, it's not about being a digital channel, it's about being omni-channel and giving a customer choice of where he wants to interact with you, and not really forcing a digital channel on him, right? And then, of course, we had our rapid fire with ending the chat with uh, the spirituality and technology connection. So, great conversation, Amit. I mean, I think it was really wonderful. And thank you, everyone, for your comments, your questions. Obviously, I couldn't take all the questions, I couldn't bring all the comments up. So, whoever feels that I have been biased, or I haven't done justice to your comments, sorry, guys. Um, I had to maximize the utilization of Amit's time over a weekend. So, thank you, everyone, again for attending, engaging. And I don't want to forget our guys who are watching the recording. Most of the people actually watch the recording. They don't want to lose out on the afternoon siesta today on a Saturday. So yeah, thank you as well, and everyone, enjoy your family time, and thank you, Amit, for joining me on Clarity Chat today.
No, thank you, and thanks a lot to the entire audience and my friends who are watching this. Thanks a lot for taking our time. Really appreciate it. And
Yeah,
thanks,
thank you,
Jagdish.
everyone. Bye bye. Have a great weekend.